businesses that are competitive is healthier than businesses that are undercutting, trying to run everybody else out of business.
Hey, it's your host, Ryan. We're back with another episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. And today I've got another friend that turned a badge into equipment. Complete switch in his lifestyle and profession. So we're excited to get talking to Ty today and learn his story and see how business has been booming for him lately. He's got some things he's doing a little bit differently in marketing that I'm intrigued to talk to him about, and we'll go from there. Before we introduce Ty, I just want to remind all of you, it's the holiday season around here. It's actually the day before Thanksgiving. Make sure you guys take a deep breath, enjoy family, enjoy your loved ones, decompress from work. Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, all those holidays, they're worth being present. You will have more regrets in life thinking about work when you're with family than you ever will being present for the family and letting work wait a day. That's my 2 cents. So let's dig in today. Ty Minson from Ponca City, Oklahoma, the owner of MB Land Solutions and former police officer, man. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So how long were you in law enforcement for?
So actually I'm still in. So
okay.
I'm full-time. I run a business full-time, and then I do the law enforcement full-time still too.
Well, we're going to have to talk time management with you.
Yeah. So, but I've been going since 2009 on the law enforcement side of things. And then 3 years ago, I decided to kind of start something to maybe move, have something that my kids can maybe, when they grow up, they can either take it over, or if they don't want it, they can just sell it all and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, I love that, man. So do you work on the city, county, state level?
County. So I work on the county side. Yep. I do that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then the rest of the week I do the business stuff.
That's awesome. I remember when I was in college, I'm going to date myself back to the 90s, but the county that my college was located in, man, like all the deputies, they were all the kids that got in trouble all the time in high school.
Right.
And like the sheriff, like seek them out and like hire them to be deputies. Is like, they know life. They understand circumstances. They're not too mean to a 16-year-old kid, but they're smart enough to be like, what are you doing? And like, he had like one of the best departments, and like all of the kids were high school mess ups, goofballs, whatever you want to call it.
Right. That makes sense.
You got any of those on your staff?
In a weird way, it makes sense. Oh yeah. We've got people that, people all the way from, they were always messing up in school to people that also had straight A's. So
yeah. Yeah. I find the people that messed up in school are the ones that take the kids' keys and throw it in the cornfield, and the ones that got straight A's are the ones that write them a ticket.
Yeah. They're the ones in it wearing the campaign hats for the troopers.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. So 2020, I mean, I started my business in 2022. So I always associate anyone that started a business like, oh, you were bored during COVID.
So mine actually started in 2020. There was a couple incidents that occurred in 2021, or 2020 occurred in 2020. One of them being in October 2020, Oklahoma had a massive ice storm. And even to today, we're still taking jobs cleaning up from that because there were still leaves on the trees. And so the amount of damage that storm caused was nuts. And, we were helping neighbors helping neighbors during that. And, we were lifting branches, moving branches, dragging them out with winch. I'm like, man, we could really use a mulcher for some of this stuff, or we could use a mini for some of this stuff. Like we could be really busy making money right now. I know it sounds weird, in a disaster, but I'm like, man, just think about how easy this would actually be with the right tools.
Yeah.
And then even before that, if we go back into the springtime, working at the sheriff's office, I was on overnights. And I had one of my shift partners was in a pursuit one night, and the bad guy ended up running him over. And, he was off for a few months. He had to have surgery on his leg a few times. And from there, he was never the same, really hasn't been the same again. Like he came back to the street for a few months, but he couldn't do the job as well. Like he can't run like he used to. He just getting in and out of the trucks was painful for him. And it got me thinking. I was like, if anything like that ever happens to me, how am I going to take care of my family?
Yeah.
Because workman's comp's only going to go so far. And so I was like, I need to have something on the side that I could still take care of my family if something ever happens to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be worried about. I don't want to be laid up in a hospital bed for months, worried about how I'm going to, make the house payments, pay the bills, and stuff like that.
That's
So
absolutely, man. And it's a shame that it takes an event happening somebody else for us to take a look and go, oh, am I maximizing my time and energy and resources to secure my life and my family's life?
Right. Yep. So that's kind of how it all kicked off in 2020. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just take the first step and get the LLC set up, and then go from there. And then really, once you take that first jump, it actually goes quite easy.
Yeah,
So,
it's that first step. Everyone's like, oh, I thought about it for a year. And I'm like, no, you debated it for a year. You made a decision in a moment.
right. Yeah. And people ask me all the time, like, how hard is it to get the business started? I mean, how hard is this? How hard is that? I'm like, honestly, the hardest part is making the decision to actually do it.
Yep.
After that, it comes a lot easier. So,
yeah. And then once you make the decision, Ty, I don't know about you, but like you're now on a shit or get off the pot scenario. And like,
right.
I got to do it.
Right. Like
your mindset.
It's now or never. Yeah.
Yep.
We got to go.
Yep. Absolutely, man. So that's awesome. So you started later in the year in 2020 then.
Right. So we actually developed our LLC in November, got it approved in November. And then, I mean, I was already window shopping on machines leading up to it, trying to figure out like what's the best carrier mulcher combo. I mean, am I going to need 2 machines? Do I need 2 skid steers? Do I need a mini and a skid steer? Track loader. But, we ended up going through the whole thing. I was about to buy a cat and then changed it up last minute and went with Bobcat. So right out the gate, I knew I wanted to run CMOF. Like I've just seeing people's the finish that they get. Just like I've heard nothing but good things about CMOF besides the price.
Well, and it goes hand in hand, right? Like you get what you pay for.
Right. So that's kind of how we made the decision, and we ended up going with Bobcat because they were the CMOF dealer for our area. And so I was like, well, I'd like to get my head and the machine together from the same place so that it can all be serviced at the same place should it need be.
Yeah, it's smart, man. And like one of the things that you talked about when we kind of sent you that little questionnaire was like the importance of a dealer relationship. And I think people from ages 60 to 30 need to be reminded of this every now and then. Like that dealer literally can be the lifeline to your business when things go awry. And if you don't have a good relationship with one and you're always nickel dicking and price shopping and competing against each other, like they're not going to take care of you.
Yeah, we've been with Bobcat for the entirety. We have had Caterpillar machines, but we've always had a Bobcat Mini. We had issues with some of our we had a 770 and we had an 870, and they were good machines if they were dirt machines. I'd say like they did a good job pushing dirt, but mulching full time they get tired, and you could tell like the machine was getting tired, and so we stayed with the CMOF heads, but ended up getting a couple of Cat 299s and running that route. And they were good machines. They ran the head great, good machines, but the dealer relationship wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like Cat makes amazing machines, and I've heard it from everywhere, not just in my area, but people from other states. They're like, we love our Cat machines, but our Cat dealer we don't exist to them.
Well, if we don't, you're too small.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they're saying. If you don't spend at least $2 million with them, you're nothing.
No, you're too small. In fact, I've got a lot of friends that work at Cat, and like, the skid steer market for Caterpillar, and this is me paraphrasing it because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but like it's designed for massive civil construction companies and mining sites. And guys like you are just some extra sales. Like if they didn't have to sell them to you, they wouldn't, because you require so much time for dollars spent to the dealership. Right.
Because, to us, guys like us, $150,000 machine, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, and when you have to spend $1 million to $2 million to actually be a blip on the radar, it kind of makes you question whether or not this is the route you want to go. So, like I said, the machines were awesome. Never had a problem with the machines. Their forestry doors could probably be redesigned, but that's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always of a firm. The more I talk to guys in land clearing, and the more I'm around that industry, the more I get the feeling that you're better off buying a skid steer with a regular door, and then going and buying the ballistic door from the manufacturer you want that fits right.
Right. So we use is it AFE now? Yeah, something like that. They make really good doors, and
Hey,
something like that. It's like American Forestry Equipment, but their website's a completely different name. I don't remember, but their aftermarket doors are really good. The even the factory Bobcat doors, they're not the greatest. The factory cab doors, they're not the greatest. Like, find a dealer that also does the aftermarket doors, and Bobcat just happens to be an aftermarket dealer as well. So when I refer to Bobcat, I mean the dealership in Oklahoma City. So Bobcat of Oklahoma City is the dealer that we use.
yep.
So I mean, there's multiple Bobcat dealers around us, but I'll drive an hour and a half to Oklahoma City because they take care of us.
And
So,
you got a relationship with them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So when you got started, like you went and got the LLC, you went and got the equipment, like you went full fledged into land clearing mulching. That was your focus.
Yep. Mulching. So our focus was land clearing and mulching, and you'd be surprised how many people that grinds people's gears, because like mulching and land clearing isn't the same. You do land clearing with a dozer, and like we would have people messaging our page like absolutely hateful that we're advertising as land clearing and we're not using a dozer.
Yeah.
So
I'm an online business man. I've gotten some pretty thick skin. Like keyboard warriors are a dime a dozen, and
oh yeah, and so and that kind of leads up into the marketing part of it. The more people you get in front of, the more people you're going to have that they have to comment on your ads. Like, they can't just let it go. They got to comment and be hateful on it. You spend a lot of time curating your page to kind of.
It's a full-time job.
I'll leave some stuff there. I will leave some hateful stuff there, because we'll have a whole dialogue. I respond to every one of them.
Yeah.
And if it's a conversation that can help me explain what we do, even if they're being hateful, I'll leave it.
Yep.
If it turns abusive, then I'll go ahead and just block them and delete it. There's no reason to have that on there.
I just had that happen today, actually, because all the time we get guys going, well, you can just use a bucket. Any operator worth his salt doesn't need this attachment. And I always respond the same way. I'm like, you're right. You can do the job with a bucket, but when we can reduce your time by 40%, which increases the profit that you put in your pocket and minimizes the hours per job, which then extends your maintenance out.
Right.
Doesn't it sound like a good investment to buy the right equipment to do the job that you're actually trying to do it? And that's always my common response for whatever the attachment is. It's like, because you're always going to have those guys that like they can do everything with a bucket.
Yep. And it's always and it's not really them that can do it with the bucket. They're like, I know somebody that can do it with the bucket.
Yeah.
And basically they're talking about their neighbor that's a farmer.
Yeah. Well, I can dig a hole with a spoon, but I don't want to.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So back to like your marketing, I think that's an area I tell you what, I talk to guys all the time and they always get into marketing. Like, there's so many guys that are 5 years and under that just don't have the network developed right, or they don't know how to develop that network, so that they're still very reliant on marketing and they struggle with it. So like what has been working for you?
So we're starting to get to the point where our networking is starting to, we're not having to network or market as much. We're still having to market, and it's starting to work out to where our networking stuff is coming full circle. So now these people are like, hey, we refer you to him, they refer them. And now we've got an entire circle of people that have referred us. And we basically just stay with these same people year after year after year. Every other month, we're at the same, following the same pattern of being at these referrals houses, or not houses, but properties. To start, though, the first thing I did is I set a budget. I was like, this is our marketing budget. How are we gonna make this go the furthest? And so we thought about billboards. We thought about ads, and I would say magazines, but nobody buys magazines anymore. But just different places to get our name out. What do we want to do? And I knew we have to have social media. I've done social media influencing, quote unquote, in the past for different people, and I've never done it for myself. I've always done it for other brands, stuff like that. And so I was like, now I got to figure out how to do this for my business. Like, how's that going to work? And so we decided that we needed to start with a budget, like $500 a month. And we decided to go with Facebook ads. And the first couple months, we really weren't getting a whole lot. And I started playing with the settings, going through the different settings, figuring out what works best and what doesn't. And then I'd say about 3 months in, I was like, we need to bump our numbers up. Instead of $500 a month, we need to do at least $1,000 a month. And it's worth it if we can get at least, two $1,500 jobs. If we can get $3,000 off of $1,000, that's a good return. And so just playing with the settings, taking the time to play with the settings, see what people are doing on your page, because people will engage with your page, whether they do business with you or not. People are going to comment on your page like, "Oh, that's wonderful," or "Oh, I can't believe you're doing that," or "Oh, that's not land clearing." So interact with the people and pay attention to what people are doing on your page, what they're commenting, what they're messaging, who's sharing it, who's liking it, and then kind of gauge your target audience. I don't know if you spend a lot of time doing Facebook ads, but like you can create a target audience.
I spend a lot of time doing Facebook ads.
Yeah. So you can create a target audience, but you can't create a target audience if you don't know who your audience is.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time, and I'd say we probably spent $2,000 or $3,000 that we probably just wasted trying to figure out how to do that and how to tap into that. And I'd say about May of 21, we tapped it and we found the perfect combo. And we just got busy. We went from making $2,000 or $3,000 a month in January, February, March, April, and then all of a sudden in May we were $17,000, $20,000, and by August we were making $30,000. So even though we were staying busy, I still ran the ads. I brought down the budget back to $500, but I left the ads on and I renewed them. I'd say every other month I'd change the ad, but I kept the same budget and the same target audience so that we were always at the top of people's minds whenever they're, whatever they're thinking. So because your phone's going to show you what you're thinking. So
are you comfortable sharing a little bit about what you mean by like when we found it? Like, is there a certain setting or a certain way the ad was created, or what did you mean by?
So we found that people react to videos. They react to videos better than they react to pictures. And anything more than about 15 seconds, people won't finish. Anything less than 10 seconds, and they're going to be like, that's a waste of time, right? They'll sit there for about 10, 15 seconds, they'll watch it, and then they'll move on. If it's any longer than 15 seconds, they're not even going to see. Because if you put your number at the end of your ad, if your ad's more than 15 seconds long, they're not going to see your information. They're going to keep swiping. So we found that about 10 to 15 second ad it doesn't even have more of we do more of a calm, we do calm music to it, piano or something like that. I know it sounds weird, but people will sit and stare at it for longer when there's like calmer music versus, hip hop or something a little more upbeat. And then we basically started moving the ads. So I'd run 3 ads at a time and I'd have them spread out throughout the state. We cover the whole state of Oklahoma, and I'd run 3 different ads. So 3 different videos, and I'd rotate those videos around the state. So I could use the same 3 videos for 3 months without having to create more content.
Okay.
So, and then after that, I'd start as soon as one ad has been around the state, I stop using that one and I bring in another one and just bring the rotation through. And basically each video got a $500 budget. And so we were about $1,500 a month, but it's totally worth it if that $1,500 a month is generating $17,000 to $30,000 a month.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I don't want to interrupt you, but were you doing this on like your business Meta Suite management page? Were you doing this actually inside the ads manager where you got to create the audiences, the campaigns, the ad sets, and all that?
So I use the app. Everything is done on my phone. All my videos and stuff, video editing, pictures, they're all done on my phone. So even now now that we have a drone and we use GoPros and stuff, I can download all those videos onto my phone, do the edits on my phone, and then submit it to my upload it to the Facebook page through the business app, the business suite app, and then mess with those settings there. I've been in the back door to the business page, but it's too confusing to really spend too much time on.
I mean, so we run it with the e-commerce store. We have to work it out of the back door because I can't get granular enough on the business page. But I mean, like, I don't show like the guys we work with and helping them structure their ads and get better at Facebook ads. I don't show them that ads manager because a guy like you doesn't you don't need to learn that. There's enough tools in the business suite to accomplish what you need to do.
Yeah, most of it is just paying attention to the people that are commenting. If you're getting a lot of negative feedback, getting a lot of spam comments or stuff like that, you need to start messing with your target audience a little more. Like change something in the settings isn't right. You need to adjust it a little bit. And there's no, I can't tell you what the secret sauce would be for like your business. All I can tell you is it's going to take time. And you just have to pay attention to what people are doing on your ad on your ads. So I manage a couple different Facebook pages for other businesses, even some that I might consider competition.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like there's enough work for everybody, and I just want to see everybody win.
Yep. I love that,
And
man.
so if I can help them get out there and generate what they need to stay in business, that's perfect. I mean, businesses that are competitive is healthier than businesses that are undercutting, trying to run everybody else out of business.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because I've said this for years, but I'm like, if you start competing on price and undercutting, you can only go to zero.
Yep.
When you start competing on how much value you can provide, your cost and your value that you provide is infinite.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have, and I don't know if you guys are seeing it where you're at, but here the mulching market has kind of slowed over the last 6-7 months, but it's also more saturated than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
Like everybody all of a sudden in the last 6-7 months decided they wanted to buy a skid steer and a mulcher, and that they can do it better than anybody for half the cost. And I'm like, but you can't do better at half the cost if you're undercutting and shortcutting. It's just not going to happen.
No. And now the customer pays half the cost, gets half the job, still has to call you in to clean up his mess. You're frustrated because you don't get a fresh piece of property, you get somebody else's debris that's not where it needs to be. And then it adds more work to you, and the customer ends up paying 2 times as much because you can't do it for the original bid.
Yep. And I've told people, like, I've come in and cleaned up after people, and they're like, and I bid it the exact same as it was when it was still standing. They're like, well, he already did all this. How come it's the same as what you did before? And I'm like, because it's going to be twice the work for me. That stuff's easier to mulch when it's still standing, because I can clean it up while it's standing, because I know where everything is. And now you got a big mess out here. You got chunks of wood everywhere, half chewed up stumps. Like, it's going to take more time, because now I got to have my teeth in the dirt longer than I would if those saplings and those trees were still standing.
Right.
So, I have people reaching out to me like, hey, we're slowing down. Are you seeing this too? And I'm like, yeah, we're seeing it. Well, what are you messing with your pricing at all? Like, my pricing's been the same, and I'm not changing it. These guys are undercutting. If they want to, for example, if say I charge $2,000 a day for a job, and they come in and they undercut it, like, I could do it for $500 a day.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do it. Hire them. And the other competitors or friends that we have were like, stick to your guns, because that guy's going to have to work for 4 days to make what you can make in one. If you just stick to what you're doing, you know what you can do, you know what you can sell, stick to it, and don't lower yourself to that.
And I'm not great math in my head. I'm good at ballparking, but it's not he doesn't have to work 4 days to make what you make in one. He has to work like 6 to 8.
Right.
Because of the fuel, the maintenance, the transportation. Right. Like it's not a fair $2,000 to $2,000.
No, and what I mean by that was just, that's what the customers having, the customers out that much.
Yeah.
Versus us. And so it's a lot easier if people stick to their guns. When I say stick to their guns, stick to what you know, stick to your pricing. Like, this is how much we're charging. And I mean, if you need to fluctuate with the market, that's fine. But as soon as you start trying to undercut other people in order to try to win more jobs, I'd rather have my machine sitting still doing nothing than basically pay the customer to do the job for them.
Right. Yeah.
So
absolutely, man. That's great advice. I feel like we should stick to Facebook ads. I don't know why I'm compelled to staying there.
No, that's okay.
But it's something that I hear about all the time. And I think that's, for somebody who's spent a lot of time figuring it out, who's become successful with business, like, I feel like, this would be good information for guys out there, because I can't tell how many guys are like, well, I need to know how to do Facebook ads. And I'm like, so one of the few things that, like, when you're talking about having 3 different ads running in different parts of the state, do you just have like one headline, one video, and one description for each of those ads, and you just rotate those where you want it?
Yes. So, like, for example, for Oklahoma, I'd put one video over Enid, Oklahoma, and then I put one video over Tulsa, and then one video over Oklahoma City, and I target those areas specifically with their own video.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, because your videos will show up based off of your location. Let's say somebody that works in Oklahoma City but owns a hunting or has a hunting lease in Enid. With their traveling and they get to where they're going or whatever, they'll still see my ads, but they'll be different.
Yep.
So they're unique to different parts of the state. The eastern part of the state, I advertise more for the excavator mulcher because there's it's more rocky terrain, versus the central part of the state, which is more of a the red clay, sandy. That's where the skid steer mulcher comes in. So we advertise different things, different services based off the regions, but we'll also rotate those ads around to see if any of them gain traction.
Sure. And I don't know if you can do this I'm going to take a peek here real quick at this and ads on the app on my phone. Because we typically use the back end, but are you able to put in multiple videos into one ad or multiple headlines on the app?
So what you have to do is let's start right at the very, very basics. If you have a Facebook business page, you also need to have an Instagram page.
Right.
Reels are a big deal. As a matter of fact, last year we were monetized. Instagram was paying us for our reels.
Oh, really?
So we were making about $300 a month on reels. And then we use those same reels because, reels are about a 10 to 15 second video. You use that reel, see which one gains a lot of traction, gets a lot of views, and then you can literally download that video to your phone, upload it to your Facebook business page, and then share it as a post, and then you can boost that post. So that's how I run my ads. I run ads based off of boost posts.
Boost posts. Got it.
Uh-huh.
So what we do for us, and because this is what the difference, I think, between the Suite app for the business and then getting back into the actual ads manager.
Yep.
So we'll create a campaign and then we build an ad set out. And then within that ad set, we have an ad and we'll actually say, okay, here's the 15-second video we want to promote. Here's 2 other variations of the same message, but a different video.
Right.
And then we write 3 different headlines and 3 different primary text copy that you would write for your post. Right. And then we tell Facebook, hey, use your algorithm and combine the right headline with the right video with the right text. And it'll start sending it out to our audience we have it declared to send to. And then it'll just divert the budget to the ones that work the best. So what we're able to do is because your ad, like the video you play in central Oklahoma might get good response, but if the text that you use in eastern Oklahoma with the video in central, that might have got a better response. So Facebook will test all the variations. And then we let that run for 5 to 7, 10 days. And then we go in there and we turn off all the ads that aren't performing very well. And we just take the budget that we were spending on those and put it on the ones that are performing well.
Right. No, that makes sense. I don't let Facebook do a whole lot on its own. All of our ads I set them up individually, manually. And I just mess with the settings every now, until we find one that really starts getting it. And we've been either really good or really lucky at finding that. And I haven't really had to adjust a whole lot. Most of the time, what I have to do is I just have to adjust either the text on the ad or maybe change the video up a little bit.
I love your idea, and I've never really thought of it that way, but you're literally testing future ad copy or ad videos through Facebook stories and Instagram reels.
Yeah.
Like the market's telling you which one's engaging before you even put it in an ad. And I think that's, if you're going to take one key takeaway, if you're owning a business, one key takeaway, go run those videos on Facebook stories and Instagram reels for a week or 2, see how many likes, comments, and the ones that really do well, like you said, download it, make that your ad.
Yeah. Boost it. We do that because that's free. You can post reels all day long on Instagram for free. Like last year, I think we had over 5 million views on our Instagram reels.
Wow.
And so we've used what we learned with those reels and moved those reels over to Facebook and boosted those posts. So, taking something that's already getting organic views, over 1 million views organically, and then putting money behind it, it goes even further.
Yeah. And I was doing some looking at your business pages, and one of the things I wanted, and this is a perfect transition for me, but so you've been doing reels for a while. Did you notice a difference in the quality and engagement when you went from just using your phone or GoPro to including the above drone footage?
It hasn't been as big of a return as I thought it was going to be.
Wow.
I thought I was like, this is going to be awesome because I love drone video. There's just something about it, especially landscape drone videos, stuff like that. I'm like, that stuff's awesome. If I can incorporate landscape video type photography, or I guess you'd say cinematography with the video, I feel like that would be huge. But it hasn't really. I mean, I can't go back and be like, all right, this is where we started using the drone. Like, I don't see it, but it is keeping us relevant.
Well, it's just, to me, it's so hard to tell a story with your photos and videos from the ground. Like, if you're showing the before and afters from the ground, like anyone in the industry can go, oh, I can see what he did there. But just the landowner goes, is that the same place, or what's the difference between the two? Like, all right, the weeds are gone, but where the drone, it's like, it's a wow factor.
Yeah. And so I include, excuse me, I include videos and pictures of the property for free to our property owners. So the clients that hire us, I will do a before and after drone video for them for free.
That's the value add we're talking about, man. Separation.
Right. So I do that and I give that to them. And at first I was giving people, even if they didn't hire us, I was giving them pictures and drone shots and stuff. And then what they were doing is they were taking my drone shots I was giving them for free, and they were giving it to somebody else. Like, hey, this is my property. What can you do on this? So basically they're using my stuff as surveying, to hire somebody else. And so I was like, I'm going to slow down on that, and I'll give it to people that actually hire us. But I don't tell them that up front. It's after the fact. I'm like, oh, by the way, I made this for you. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've owned this property for 30 years and I've never seen it that way.
Yeah. But you were also talking about having somebody inherit some property that you did work for, and like you actually had them in tears.
Yeah. So that's one of the deals that I did. That's one of the first people I did the drone video for. And she was out there. She was explaining to us this, my grandpa left this for me. And I've been out here. He died 10 years ago. And, before he died, he was sick. And so the property started overgrowing. And she's like, I used to run these fields growing up. I used to run through here. There used to be a pond back there that we'd swim in, that kind of thing. And she's like, I haven't seen it in 25, 30 years. I haven't seen it. I don't even know if it's still there. And so she hired us to clean it up. And I was able to clean it up, make it smooth. That's part of what we sell is the cleanliness. Like, we want it to look like a park when we're done. We don't want it to look like a tornado came through. We want it to look like a park. And so when we were done, we were able to clear all the way to the pond. She could see the pond from the house again. We cleared all the way to the wood line and even into the woods a little bit, and got some old swings that were still hanging on the trees back there. We're able to clear around it without touching it and damaging the swings. And I put a quick little drone video together that I shot before, and then halfway across the property, the video would transition to after. And I gave that to her afterwards. She was in tears. She's like, I haven't seen this. It hasn't looked like this since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is exactly how Grandpa used to keep it cleaned up. It's how he used to have it all the time. And then when he got sick, it just felt, nature takes over real fast. So
did you ever watch that show on Discovery? I think it was like 10 years ago. They like, if the population left the world, and like what would happen.
Oh yeah.
And they showed like that kudzu in Georgia, and like it takes over the whole state in like 90 days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Bamboo would do that too. And bamboo's hard. Like, I've had people that they brought bamboo from overseas thinking that it'd be nice to plant in their garden. And then next thing you know, it's taken over their place, their neighbor's place. It's taken over the church across the street. And they're just, no matter what they do, they can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'd be the exact same way. Give it a year, give it a couple years, 5 years. I mean, and we'd have a thriving population of pandas and stuff.
Yeah, they like winter. They could handle the Midwest.
Yeah.
So, that's hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, part of those repeat customers. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Now, as part of those repeat customers, they hire us every year. We clean the place up, and then the next year they're like, "Hey, we didn't get a chance to get to it. Now it's overgrown again. Can you come do it again?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I'll just charge the same thing I did last year.
100% I can.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw that you recently put up a billboard.
So we did. So actually, it wasn't recently. It was back in January this year. We put up a billboard, and it was cool. It worked out real well for like brand recognition.
Yeah.
But it didn't pull any work in. So if you have it's definitely worth having if you have the extra funds to just be recognizable in your community. Like if you, I think it's super important to interact with your community too. Like sponsor a T-ball team every now and then.
Yeah.
Have your billboard up there, even if you don't have it up there for a long time. 6 months to a year or whatever. But engage with your community. Sponsor a school, sponsor a T-ball team, and just engage with your community so people know that you're there. Because then when they see your ad on Facebook, they can be like, "Oh, hey, I know them."
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, and you hit it nose around the head there, right? Like a lot of guys don't differentiate between marketing and branding.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like a billboard is 100% for branding. It's you need to continually show them your logo, your services, so when the time does come, let's call that MB company I saw on the billboard last month.
Yeah.
Where marketing is more about getting quicker results or having a two-way conversation on social media and something of that regard. And you have to have some sort of a blend, and when you're first starting out, marketing is by far the most important piece, but you should be developing your brand, like your logo, your color scheme, the fonts.
Yep.
Like that's all part of your brand. So that when the time comes when you can start doing branding campaigns or branding flyers or door hangers or whatever, that you're able to do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys get mixed up with branding and marketing. Now they kind of go hand in hand, but they're not the same thing.
Right.
So, like you can, before you know it, you can put yourself in a financial bind if you spend more on branding than you do your marketing.
Yeah, and you can really get into a bind if you think you're marketing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. So the billboards are cool. They're really cool for community engagement, but you can't just do one. You can't do billboard thinking that's going to be the only thing you need to do for community engagement. Like you need to join your local chamber of commerce, interact, go to their, like where we're at. We have a business after hours once a month where a business around town will sponsor a get together, and everybody kind of has mixes and mingles and discusses business and whatever. And I think it's super important to interact in your community. If before you start spending money on billboards and branding, do the less expensive stuff. It's $100 a year to be on the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
to be
and I think a lot of those chamber events tie too, in even the economic development center areas in towns, they actually will allow business owners to present to the group from time to time.
Yes.
So you could do an educational one on what the difference between land clearing and mulching is, because it's a great opportunity. Right.
They also, a lot of people don't realize it, but your local tech schools also have resources for small businesses. They have, printers and copiers. I mean, I don't have a fax machine in my house, but every now and then I got to fax something somewhere. So like they have most tech schools will have what they call a business incubator, where new businesses can come in, and they even have, like our local one has a kind of like a Shark Tank type deal, where you start your business and then a couple times a year you go in and you present your business idea to some local investors.
Yep.
And they'll help you out getting up and going, getting you commercial space, helping you with website stuff. Like they're not giving you cash, but they're giving you basically grants to help get commercial space, office equipment, whatever you need. So
yeah. And I think I've talked about this in numerous podcasts, and, but those tech schools you talk about, like those incubators, majority of those are grant funded by the SBA, the Small Business Association.
Right.
And they're typically, in most towns, they're called the Small Business Development Center, like the SBDC. So like I've been a member of this SBDC here in Peoria, Illinois for 11 years. And like I have a coach on there, like the director of the SBDC and I meet once a week for my business.
Right.
And then in return, like I actually present, excuse me, So like the last 2 Thursdays, I've actually went and presented to 30 business owners.
Right.
On structuring and building posts and ads for Facebook and social media. And then the next weekend was actually utilizing the tools within Facebook, like using the business suite and then looking at page transparencies and a bunch of other stuff. So I kind of give back to the other business owners that are coming up through the SBDC here in Peoria, but they can literally help you in any area of your business, and it's all free.
Yeah. That's the wonderful part of it. And they don't advertise it. So you actually have to reach out to your tech schools, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, so and so, we have one person that's full time. That's all he or she does."
Yep.
So it's a great resource to have, and most people don't even know they have it right there in their community.
No, everyone I talk, whenever we get it brought up, there's always somebody in the group's like, "What is that? Where did you find them?" You know.
Yep.
And like
they help you with. They can even help you with grant writing. They can help you with. They have courses that can help you with. Like if you provide a service, they can help you with getting prepared to do business with government contracts, both state and federal. They can help you with how to even like it's all about contacts. It's all about relationships, and so they'll even get you lined up with events where you can go meet the people that are going to be reading your bids at these government agencies.
Yeah. So that's called it used to be called the PTAC office. Procurement technical. I don't remember what it stands. And now the one here just changed the name to the Apex. But there's a lady in there that her whole job is to work with small businesses, help them find government contracts for service and product-based business, make the connections, help you get set up on the sam.gov website. Like, because that's a task. And without Kelly here in Peoria, I would have never even thought about doing it.
Yeah, the lady here that does it, I don't know if she's still doing her now. But yeah, her name is Dawn, and she's showing her like, oh, you go here and you do this. I'm like, I didn't know this existed. Yeah. And even if I did know it existed, I still wouldn't know how to do all this.
Right.
You know, she just walks you through everything. So
yeah, and like there's a lot of government buildings, property, military that needs right of way clearing, fence row clearing, site prep for new sheds.
Wildlife.
I mean,
wildlife departments, the forestry service. I mean, there's quite a few departments that you don't even realize that they need land management. You're like, I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah,
I didn't know they'd need that. Why would they need that? But no, there's quite a few. And it's crazy. Once you get logged in and you get your SAM's number and stuff, and you get logged in, you can see all the contracts that are out for bid, and you're like, holy cow! I had no idea that much stuff was even going on in my area. I didn't know that the department. I didn't know the Forestry Service was doing anything like that in Oklahoma.
It's a full-time job if you want to let it be if you don't filter it down and like get rid of all the noise. I mean, you could scroll the SAM page 4 times longer than Facebook and not hit the bottom.
Right. Yep.
So, so your part-time crew, do they only work when you work, or do you have them working when you're actually out taking care of the community?
Yep. So I have them working whenever the jobs are up and going. If we've got jobs that need to be done on Mondays and Tuesdays, if I'm at the sheriff's office, they're going. And you know, one of our best guys was actually an intern for us, and I've actually been having our intern train the new people. So I mean, he picked it up real quick, and he has a thing for it. He loves it. When he gets out of college, he's going to go back to Georgia, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to start his own land management business. But like he's thorough. He's good at what he does. He's responsible, and it helps that he's got a military background. So I mean, he's squared away, and he's an instructor for the military too. So he teaches real well, and so basically, I've got my intern teaching my new employees how to run the equipment and what to do, how to handle this, what to do, checklist before you start. So he's been a good resource for us to have. So that's another thing. If anybody if a college reaches out to you and asks if you're interested in having in any of their internship programs, like even if you don't accept any of them, at least listen to what they have to offer.
Yeah.
So so those part-time guys, they're working whenever the jobs are working. We don't typically, like, we won't be running tomorrow. We have a 2-day job that we started today that we won't run tomorrow, and then we'll finish it off Friday.
Yeah.
But there'll be machines will be moving. I started subbing out machine moving. I used to do it all in-house, do it all myself, but I save about 20 hours a week by having somebody else move my equipment.
No kidding.
So it's so much easier. So like that's time spent at home, instead of having to be up at 4:00 in the morning to move a machine 2 hours just to do an 8-hour job and then drive home that night just to get up and do it again the next day. It saves us about 20 hours a week of me not having to load it up, drive it everywhere, when I can just sub out to, just like there's so many people coming into the mulching business, there are so many people joining the hot shot business too.
Oh,
and
so that logistics industry, man, it's a massive industry.
Yeah. And so I reach out, especially I like using local and even up and coming, hot shop businesses to be like, hey, I've got a 16,000 pound machine that needs to be moved an hour and a half. This is where it's at. This is where it's going. And I've got basically, it would be a Rolodex back in the day, but I've got a Rolodex of people that I'm like, all right, these are the ones that are closer to this. So I'll give them a shout and be like, hey, this is what I got. This is how much it pays. Do you want it? And for the most part, I rarely get any. I usually get the first one. So I rarely get anybody that's like, no, I don't want it this time. Like everybody's like, yep, we're on it. We're on it. We can move it tomorrow. Actually, you know what? We'll move it tonight. I'm like,
we'll move it tonight.
Whatever. It just needs to be there by Monday.
I'm glad you said Rolodex, man. I literally, we were working with a guy and I think he was 24 years old. And I was like, well, you just got to grow your Rolodex. And he's just like, what? And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it. But if you're not, just imagine the face of like, I can't believe I'm just complete lost and utter ignorance. And I'm like, you don't know what a Rolodex is? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, it was just like a wheel with all these sheets of paper and you would have them alphabetized and you would just have all your contacts in it. So you could just spin it and find what you wanted. He's like, why would you need that? And I was like, well, why do you need a contact list in your phone? He's like, well, how else are you going to call people? I'm like, what did you do before cell phones, man? You had a Rolodex.
Yeah. So our Rolodex is full of logistics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's logistics stuff is where we're both for moving machines or materials. If we need materials for a job. Yeah. And welders, stuff like that. So we have the ability to do it all ourselves, but it saves so much time and it's worth it. A lot of people are like, well, even though it's saving, you're spending, how much you spending a moving machine? I'm like, well, it costs about $350 to $400 one way to move a machine. And they're like, yeah, but if you're moving that a couple of times a week, I mean, that's what, $600, $700, $800, $900, almost $1,000 a week. I'm like, yeah, but I'm saving 20 hours. Like that, I can make more money in 20 hours versus moving the machine myself.
Yeah, imagine how many estimates you could get done, or how many baseball games for your kids you could go to, and like exactly. It's endless, right? Like you have two resources, time and money. Which one you want to spend?
Right. Yep. So it's totally worth it. It is worth it. We found that it's worth it to us to spend the extra money and do the logistics part because really we're actually making more money because I'm able to, like you said, get more estimates in. I'm able to get stuff done without having to push it off to the end of the week. I'm not having to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning just to load a machine up to haul it. Now I'm getting home for games. I'm able to be home for dinner. So
and if you're spending $1,000 a week and you're saying it's 20 hours, if you had one of the guys that work for you doing it, you're spending the same amount of money in labor and fuel that you are in the logistics company.
Yep. So we have a US DOT number. We have our motor carrier permit for Oklahoma. I don't know how it is in other states, but even in Oklahoma, even though we're moving our own equipment, we still have to have a private carrier's license. And so, and that costs money. Then you have to have certain insurance policies. If you have a DOT number, you have to have. So it saves us a bunch of headache too.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I don't love our troopers that are out there doing DOT inspection, because there's quite a few trucks that need to be stopped and inspected.
Yeah.
But I mean, just if you're running a DOT number on the side of your truck, it's only a matter of time until you start getting stopped and getting inspected.
Right.
And so to me, that that extra time and not having to worry about having all that stuff in line, paying somebody else to handle all that, it saves a ton of time and a ton of headache.
It's it's a write-off for the business, one, but two, the thing that most business people don't think about, like, oh, I spent $1,000 on that. My guy makes $20 an hour. That's $800 plus the fuel. Yeah. But your guy really makes $30 to $35 an hour because you got to pay Social Security, workman's comp insurance, and the list goes on and on the back end taxes and benefits. So it actually could be a cost saver.
Oh yeah. I think by the end of the year, we started doing that in July, and I'm like, I think I've moved a machine once myself just because it was a local job down the road from the house. And so I was like, I'll just move it myself. I'm not going to hire somebody to move it. But I think we've actually probably saved, we have our own gooseneck trailer, but we're saving wear and tear. We don't have to, fuel, all that stuff. It adds up quick. So we just save it. We save our trailer for when we need to take a machine in for maintenance, for warranty work. If it breaks down or if it's a close job that's close to the house, we'll do it ourselves. But we're saving quite a bit at the end of the year that people don't realize because all they're doing is looking at the money they're spending now.
Right. Nope.
So
that's some great, that's something I've never really thought about, like investigating is like, what's the value add of having a logistic company out? Now, one question I have for you is like, do you have to find logistic companies that are able to turn the machines on and off and move them on and off the trailer? Or do you need to be there to load it and unload it?
So what I do is all of our machines have PIN codes, right? Passcodes. Nothing really uses a key anymore. Everything's got a passcode.
Yeah.
The Bobcat machines, I think Caterpillar does too. You can go in there and turn off the functions. So all they can do is move the machine. They can lift the arms, so they can lift the arms, tilt the bucket, all that stuff, but they can't turn on the flow.
Right.
So each of our movers that we have in our Rolodex has their own pin number to the machine, and so that way when they punch that pin number in, it logs that they're the ones that started it. They ran it for X amount of time, and this is what they did with it. So Bobcat has that where you can go and you can see who logged in, how long they were logged in for, how long they ran it, how much fuel they were using, if any trouble codes were thrown while they were running it. But on the movers, I turn the flow function off. They don't need to fire the motor up. Like, there's no reason for that. So,
but they're all comfortable moving the equipment. Have you ever had any logistic companies not take the job because like, oh, we don't drive equipment on and off?
No, most logistics companies that we use have an oil field background.
Okay.
So, excuse me, a lot of, oil field's not exactly booming right now. And so the ones that are still doing it, they'll take just about anything they can get. Anything that pays the bills, they're going to move them. And so moving a Bobcat track loader or mini is nothing compared to, the I don't know what they call those, cable dozers, whatever, pipeline dozers, stuff like that. And if we have to have two machines moved at once, then a bigger truck will come get it. If we're moving one machine at a time, then they'll send a pickup with a gooseneck.
Interesting, man. Very, very interesting. I like it.
And so we have like Stinger Transport out of Oklahoma City. They kind of rose to the top because they're like, we can move anything. And I'm like, we rented a dozer and I got to have it moved. We're renting it for 3 weeks, but it's going to be on 2 different jobs. And they're like, done. We need it. So it doesn't matter what machine we have. They got it. So we have other ones that are backup plans that are that are more local. But I mean, there's the one transport company kind of, and the awesome part of it, that's a law enforcement connection, because one of the guys I used to work for in the past, when he left law enforcement, he started up this, transport company years ago. And so when I started reaching out to people, being like, hey, who am I in my Facebook friends list does transport? Like, who wants to make some money with me? And he's like, oh, we do. And I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know you own that. And he's like, yeah, it's mine and my buddies. And I'm like, well, shoot, I had no idea. If I'd have known that, I would have just called you right off the bat instead of even going out there fishing for contacts.
Yeah.
So it works out well. Like, I think it's a good deal. And like, so you make good contacts out of it because they'll need stuff too. I've had transport companies get a hold of us like, hey, we need our lot regraded. Can you do that? I'm like, yeah. So.
And they'll refer you to other clients that are moving stuff that have lots or parking lots or landscaping or property.
Yep. Or, pipeline stuff or oil field stuff that needs to be done. Yeah.
Very cool, man. I saw in one of your videos, it looked like you had the Case Minotaur pushing some dirt.
Yeah. So we ran the Case, the new Minotaur that they have, or Minotaur, I don't know how to pronounce it. My wife she corrects me all the time. I say it and she's like, no, it's this. And I'm like, okay. And then the next day I'm saying it wrong again.
I just look at her and go, potato.
Yeah, right. So we ran it, and it's a sweet idea, just like the backhoe was, right? It's an awesome machine. I kind of feel like Case might have missed something there.
Yeah,
because I mean everything it's got dozer functions like the dozer blade, the rippers, steel tracks. It's designed well. But there's a few places where they could have executed a little better. Like the dozer control for the dozer blade, it's all manual like a skid steer. Like you can't put in, like, say you want a 5% grade, you can't dial it up. Like most Caterpillar dozers come standard with a little, the function where you can dial the grade. Just be like, I want a 5% grade, to the left, and the blade will automatically adjust to it, right?
Okay.
Where I was on the Minotaur, you have to do it manually, and so And instead of being on top of the blade, you're behind it. And so like when I was running it, I was leaning forward, trying to see the corner of the blade so I can see where we're going. So I finally get the left side right. And next thing you know, the right side's digging in. And I'm like, oh crap. I gotta back up and readjust this again.
Okay.
So I feel like that the Minotaur could be amazing with just a simple way to do grade with, because that's what we'd use it for. You use it for building pads. Like, you're not really going to be cutting a whole lot with it. Do building pads, driveways, and stuff like that. If you had just the ability to dial, just punch in 5%, and let it do its thing, that'd be awesome. I'm sure that it has the ability to do that, but you're gonna have to buy the aftermarket setup, which is another 25, 30 grand.
Yeah. Well, we did a case partnership a couple of years back. Like, they provided us with a skid steer, and we provided them with all the marketing exposure when we did all of our ads. So
right.
I'm gonna take that short clip of this podcast, and I'm going to email it to my guy at Case and be like, FYI, got some feedback for you on the big boy.
And we're not very far away from Wichita. We're about we're just under an hour from their Wichita facility. So,
well, it's funny because they're made there, but the management team is in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So have them give me a call, but I'm not going to Wisconsin. Not
going.
I think they're awesome machines. Like, when they first came out, I was like, oh, that's going to be sick. That's going to be sweet. And I think it will be. Just like I said, the backhoe. The backhoe was sweet when it came out, and now we're at where we are now. And I mean, they're awesome machines. So
and like, let's be honest, the backhoe didn't hit it. I mean, conceptually hit it out of the park, but like, you need a couple years in the field to figure out what's missing. It's never go to the restaurant the first week it's open. Like, it's a silly idea.
Right.
You're not going to be happy.
No, don't get the first model the first model year. Don't get the new model the first model year.
Yeah, I've heard that since I was a kid, right? Like, your dad taught you that as a young age.
But then I got the T86 in the first year for Bobcat. So far, so good, though.
So far, so good. So far, so good.
It's been a good machine. It's been a good machine.
And even with the vehicles, though, like the first model year, it's not that they're bad and they break down. It's just there's just so many recalls, and you just find yourself pissing away so much time at the dealer. Like, oh, the sensor for the back rear defrost. Yeah,
so you give it a year, give it 2 years, and next thing you know, that sensor's, you don't have that problem anymore.
You don't have the problem anymore.
You had to be the guinea pig.
Yeah,
you had to be the guinea pig for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well, Ty, I know you got a job you're trying to wrap up today. I appreciate you taking some time sitting in a parking lot talking to me today and sharing your story, your venture, and your insight. I really enjoyed this. I'm glad we got to meet. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, of course, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and if there's anything we can ever do for you in the future, or if anything new you learn and you want to come back on and share it with the audience, I'm always happy to have you back, man. So
awesome. Yeah, if you ever need anything, or if you come up with something, or if you see something that we post, you're like, I want to discuss that. Just give me a shout.
I sure will.
I can always make time for you.
And I'll tell you what, he doesn't listen to this. I know he doesn't, but my buddy Dean, man, he is old school, rough around the edges business owner in this industry. He lives out. He used to live in Mustang. But I would come visit him all the time, and we go out in Oklahoma City and have a good time. But we used to do some work with some dealers in Oklahoma City. So, and then I got a couple other clients that are right in that area. So Oklahoma's got a spot for me, man. Good group of guys down there. I enjoy going down there and spending time with them.
For sure.
So, and I don't like Texas football, so everyone's good with me. They don't care what I like as long as it's not burnt orange.
Right. No, you're good.
So awesome, man. Well, Ty, I hope you and your family have an amazing Thanksgiving. Hope that you take some time and reiterating the message from earlier. Of
course.
Don't think about the business. It'll be there Friday. Be present with the family. Right. And I know that's what I'm going to try to do. So,
yeah. Well, appreciate it. You guys have a good Thanksgiving as well.
All right, my friend. Well, guys, that's another episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. We got pretty in-depth on some Facebook advertising strategies and ideas. He shared a lot of information, especially about the local resources at universities and tech schools. So search out that. If you're struggling with your business, search out that. If you're looking for industry-specific help, don't forget, we also have a business called Groundbreaking Growth. You can go to groundbreakinggrowth.com. It's a coaching and consulting program to help excavation company owners build the cornerstone of the business, to help you with your marketing, help you with your sales, developing your culture to grow your team. If you schedule the call to learn more, you will actually speak with me, nobody else. So groundbreakinggrowth.com. Enjoy the holiday season, guys, and we'll see you next week.